Hi everyone, welcome back to another edition of the Velvet Lounge Life. First of all, thank you for all of the comments, the thumbs up. We have almost 7,000 thumbs up on our videos, so greatly appreciated. And for watching, actually watching the videos, so appreciated. And I am so happy that you guys are enjoying this series where I go through this authentic, 100% real of the era Victorian scrapbook. It just makes me so happy to say that because the contents are so amazing. And I'm actually learning things from you guys about what some of this stuff is. So if you have any idea, please reach out and let me know because I really do appreciate that. And also check out the comments of this video. I am going to shout out a couple people down in the comments. I'm so excited because they gave me information that, like I said, I never would have known. Even with research, I don't think I probably could have found out like really what some of this stuff is. Most of it, yes, I do know what it is, but there are some things that are very, very interesting and are beyond belief that I am the caretaker of them at this point in time. And yes, if you haven't, please hit the subscribe button for the Velvet Lounge Life. We are on here on YouTube, of course, but we are also on Instagram and on whatnot.com. That's whatnot, WHATNOT.com, where we do sell some of our treasures. Will you ever see any of these out there? Well, you'll have to wait and see. I'm still trying to decide what the future of this treasure trove should be. I really don't know. But I do know, as you can see, that the album is not in good condition. Lots of pages in here are loose. Lots of them are still connected to each other or to the binding in the book. So, you know, they decided what they wanted to be. And who am I to argue with that? So all of these pages we've been through, and this is where we left off the last time. So we're just going to kind of pick up from here and go through this book and look at some really interesting pieces of, like I said, authentic Victorian and pre-Victorian ephemera. So that's before the Victorian era. So let's just take a look and see what we have. So here we have these gorgeous little matching cards that have, they almost look like little watercolors right here up at the top. I don't know if you could see that well enough. Let's see if we can position that a little better. If I make it too large, then you'll miss like a lot of pieces. So I'm trying to get this right. But yeah, these are really nice. I don't know what's on the back of them because, like I told you guys previously, some of them, they're only glued in the corner. Some, they're completely glued down. So I will not try to remove those. And then here, this one says compliments of Union Pacific. Union Pacific was a railroad. But this one says Union Pacific Tea Company. I wonder about that. Did Union Pacific Railroad also dabble in tea? Maybe, who knows? And then here's a Hires root beer, which I believe they still sell Hires root beer today, probably other flavors as well. But root beer became, it was almost like an adult, which is why she's looking a little like, look at me, I'm sassy doing something I shouldn't be doing. But soda pop, in some countries they call it that, and here in the United States. But it was considered an adult beverage, so you would have flavors such as sarsaparilla. You would have ginger beer before you had ginger ale. You would have root beer, And other flavors, clove could be one that would be put into a soda form as well, which simply meant adding carbonated water and sugar. And then Van Houten's cocoa. And it says, please turn over, but they glued this down, so I can't turn it over. Wow. And I did look into different solutions that I can use to actually remove these from the paper safely without a speck of damage. And I also spoke to someone who deals in antique ephemera only. That's all they do. If you go to paperama.com, they actually have shows that go around the United States. And the only thing they do is deal in antique and vintage paper. And they gave me a couple clues on how I could do it. I had a few people, of course, honestly, I think it was like 5 or 6 of them. And I say there were like a few serious people who wanted to purchase this album, but as you can see, I did not sell it. I still have it. I'm still attached to it. Plus, I haven't gone through it in detail like we're going through together. Like I have not seen any of this, you guys, except for when I put the page holder in here and close the book. I just haven't had time to go through this book in detail. So technically, I'm doing that with you guys. And yes, at the end of it all, I will go through in much better detail and then eventually make a decision on what to do with it. But anyway, it says our 50-cent fur soft hat worth 75 cents. So this outstanding head topper was only 50 cents, but my goodness, before it was on sale, it was 75 cents. Can you imagine? It says our derby hat at $1.45 is worth $2. So they were definitely having a hat sale at 45 Asylum Street in Hartford, Connecticut. So if you Google 45 Asylum Street in Hartford, Connecticut, that building might still be standing because there were some antique, or there are some, what am I trying to say, like historical buildings that are still in Hartford, and this is in the downtown sort of area. But it would be interesting if it's not there to see what is there today. And then this is further down, so I have to adjust this for you. Forgive the squeaking of the ring light holder that I'm using, but it's the best thing that I have really to kind of like show you guys all of these pictures. There, try to move that back. I'm trying to see if I can get the lighting any better. The lighting might be amazing, but from what I can see, it looks a little dark. So I love this card. I always like scenes. So like where there's various things going on. You have this goat that's trying to get into some flowers or something that they put a fence around. These little babies are over here just resting. The horse is having some hay. And it's just beautifully, just like the two I showed you up at the top, beautifully colored, almost looks like a watercolor. I think this is like maybe a greeting card or either some sort of maybe calling card, but I'm not sure about that. And then over on this side, we'll move everything over a little bit. We have the 6 kids here. It says, for refined complexion, use Perosi's powder. So apparently putting powder on these kids made them look like this with very rosy cheeks. And Mama's boy, which is really, oh, so I wonder if this is one boy and his picture is like being depicted various times. And underneath it has like, what? No powder? I'll help myself. Papa's looking. And it just had, I don't know, the sentiments aren't really that catchy to me, but I do love the coloring in this child and how it was made. And this is one of my favorites because she just looks so pretty. The negative is she does have this light color line going all the way down through the middle of the picture, but this appears to be cut maybe from a magazine or something. And then here we have this lady with her most elegant topper with all that red plumage coming out of it. I think these are forget-me-nots. And it says Arment Lilita perfume. And it says it has a registered trademark on it. And I think, nope, these are not raised. These are not embossed. And then here we have Hoyt's German Cologne. And it just has, talks about the fragrant and lasting. I guess it's supposed to be the most fragrant and lasting of all perfumes. The cool thing is looking at this bottle, especially for people who are mudlarkers or people who enjoy looking for old bottles, just looking at the shape of that and how it was topped off at the top. But look at this scene with the little kids like doing a maypole dance around this beautiful perfume bottle. Once again, gorgeously colored. It says copyright 1868 or 64 right here. There's a copyright there. And look at this little girl. She's definitely something that was cut out of something. And she's in her bright red outfit, ready for winter. And some little, and this was a common thing to cut like little bits of flowers or whatever from wallpaper or whatever it came from, and to fill in a space. And then this one is, a little bit upsetting because once again, it's that, you feel, so let's lie about other races and ethnicities, and let's also, put them in a particular light, which is not accurate. So you have these this little kid is pretending to be afraid of this Indian child. And then this person, she seems to be comfortable with this little brown child. But I could tell you we never wore our hair like this. And I'm pretty sure we never had this expression. But anyway, we talked about sarsaparilla. This was by Hood. Hood still makes milk and products today, but this is Hood's sarsaparilla, and it claims to purify all blood. So I guess that meant all ethnicities. Something I do like about this picture, I do kind of like the picture, to be honest. And this was something that came from the World's Fair because it says a few of the World's Fair. And you can tell that this was from 1891 because it says so right here in the corner. So whatever I don't know where that World Fair was at that time, but by looking at that date, you would be able to find that out. So I do love the fact that things in this book do have some like clues, like there's more research that you could actually do to find out more about, for example, what World Fair was that? What was happening in 1864, etc. And because in 1865 is when we recognized slavery here in the United States as being technically over. Officially, it was supposed to be 1863, but there were some evil doers who hopefully had horrific lives that still enslaved people and did not tell them that they were free to go. And they kept them sort of in a bubble, if you will, until some soldiers came along and made the people aware that they were completely free. And the soldiers, thank goodness and thank the gods of Mother Nature for them, were the folks that, emancipated those folks. Otherwise, who knows how many years those lazy evildoers would have kept them enslaved. So, looking at that other card we saw that had 1864 on it, you could kind of have thoughts if you could kind of pull clues from this stuff. So that's kind of like the theme of today's tour. And here we have lots of wording, which I won't read it all. And it says the parting of Ruth and Naomi. So obviously this is a biblical card. At the bottom, it says published copyright by Charles Hires. Oh, so Hires Root Beer. So Hires Root Beer got into the religion business, obviously. Anything to sell a thing. And here this girl has Naps root beer. So, oop, competition. And you look at it, it looks just like today's beer when you see it in this format. But like I said, e- technically soda-y kind of things were for adults. And, obviously they were using children to sell this stuff. And over here we have, it says, yes, madam, the child would not be sick if you had fed it on high brand evaporated milk. First of all, evaporated milk is super incredibly high in concentrated sugar. So feeding your child evaporated milk back then, no one had a clue that it definitely wasn't the healthiest thing for your child. But they have him playing, and it says right here, the little doctor. The Little Doctor, and the copyright on this one is 1890. And it even tells us who made this lithograph, and that's the thing I meant to tell you guys previously. A lot of these are lithographs, so amazing that there are so many in this book. And down here in this corner, right here, we have Mayo cut plug, so I know immediately that that's some sort of tobacco. And it says for chewing and so it's a chewing and smoking tobacco. And this is a cigarette card or tobacco card. Technically, it's a tobacco card because when it says they could chew or smoke it, that meant it came in like a cube type form probably. And they could take and rip it apart and put it into rolling paper, smoke it, or as some people did, they chewed tobacco, which some people I think still do that today. And here we have this beautiful, I hope these colors are coming across, because this is what we call a peekaboo card. This is probably a postcard. I can tell kind of by the thickness and just by the style of it. And we call it peekaboo because you see like all this floral work, but then you look inside and there's like this little secret, and it's this. And also, I don't think you guys can tell. Let me get a tool to see if it helps. But this actually raises up. So cool. Here it has someone's initials. It says hopeful and Judge David. So I don't know who this is. I don't know anything about this, but they wrote this on the actual page of the scrapbook. And something that my sister-in-law would love, hi Yvette, if you're ever watching these videos, but there's these beautiful horses. They're just so beautiful. You have the black horse, a white horse, and this beautiful chestnut brown horse. And they're drinking from the trough, which has water coming out of it, a little bit of greenery. This is all embossed. It's all raised work. It feels amazing. And you can see the little bits of water that are kind of coming from their snouts. So awesome. And even like the scalloping around the edge of it. And this is also like done as a cutout. And I don't know what this advertises. I mean, advertising for tack and things like that for horses, very common. I think we saw some of that in this book already. And over here we have this little girl. I don't know anything about her, but we have a similar girl over here. So that seemed to be like a thing in this book where sometimes there would be matching items. And here is another piece that I believe is advertising. Let me read it. Oh yeah, compliments. Something about new home sewing machines. I guess that, oh yeah, this is a sewing machine here. This is a table. This is the runner thingy underneath, etc. Kind of made like a singer. Who came first, the singer or the new home sewing machine? I don't know, but I do know from sewing machine history, I know too much about everything, you guys, that Singer had basically the market on sewing machines, and they were sued by a few different sewing machine manufacturers through not just here in the United States, but overseas in Europe as well. And eventually they all created this like co-op, if you will. so that each one of them could get a piece of the market. And so eventually it became other companies had a chance to make their way. But at the end of the day, the number one company standing ended up being Singer anyway, which I found to be very interesting. But you can look that up. There's like, on the History Channel, there's information. I know, yes, I watch History Channel. There's information about that. But here we have Williams root beer, so lots of competition in the root beer genre. The cool thing about this, because I'm one of those detail people and being in the antiques, uniques, and oddity business, I tend to pay attention to details. But this is a swing top as far as the top for this bottle. So you can kind of date like when swing tops began. And here, I just love the graphic. I love the fact that there's so much information in this ad. The copyright is big and bold. This one says copyright 1892. And there's some other little writing under here that I can't see without putting my face in there, so I won't do that. But love this image, love all the information that's in it. And down here, we have something about a filthy tenement house, cigar factories. So obviously this is, has something to do with smoking. It does say you could turn it over, so that means there's other information on the back that we cannot see. And it says, Mr. Theodore Roosevelt, representing Brownstone District of New York City and the legislature, stated as follows, and he talks about pests and holes and this and that and whatever. And if smokers could only see how the cigars are made, we wouldn't need to have legislative action against the system at all. So it's literally showing, people who worked in tobacco factories or, probably even on the farms, etc., how their lives definitely were not being better or enriched by doing those jobs. But what else were they going to do? Like, did Roosevelt create other good quality jobs for them? Make sure that they got the appropriate education so they could, advance? I don't think that happened. But anyway, here we have this little cutout of these three girls, which kind of look like sisters. We have another pretty card here with all of this embossing. This little girl, this gorgeous topper on her, and her little doll that's like the size of her, could be her sister, but it's a doll, that she's dragging along. And over here, we have a picture of what I believe are two brothers. Yeah, they look like brothers. And they're singing outside of a door. It's snowing, so I assume they're singing Christmas carols. So this is probably a Christmas card. Let's get into a few more pages here. Move this out of the way. I felt like it was distracting. So over here in the upper portion of the page, we'll make it a little. We have this girl right here. It says, "Oh, mama, may I take the menthol inhaler with me, please?" First of all, I doubt if any child will actually say that because that would be weird. But obviously it's a menthol inhaler. Menthol was used to ease breathing. Even when I was a young one, my chest was commonly rubbed down with Vicks menthol because I had asthma. And people thought that was the best way to treat children especially. And here it does say something about Buffalo, New York. It has some more words, but I can't read them up close. These are actual photographs that were cut out from somewhere and pasted in here. They probably were meant to go in lockets. And we have this little tiny bit here, the cat and the dog, which are so funny, especially the bulldog's face. And this was already folded, so I'm going to see if I can gently fold it over, because there must be a reason it was folded since the whole page isn't folded, and see if I can see anything. I am being very careful. Nope, I am not going to take a chance. It feels like it might still be partially stuck down around here somewhere, but super cute. I think the image is like So hilarious, you know, this anthropomorphic thing of taking something that's not a human and humanizing it is always been around. And there's proof of it. And here we have this picture of what I will assume are two lovers who want to be married one day. And on the back, I did not turn this around, but I can see that this says best something, best flower. The print on the back is sort of leaking through the front of this card. That's the only reason I could read it. And somewhere in Maine, I can kind of read that as well. And over here we have this lady who seems to be a little bit verklempt. In the center, this is one of those trading cards. Probably came from tobacco. That was usually the culprit. And one of the things you can tell about tobacco is when it was more expensive, it would come in a smaller packet. So you had smaller tobacco cards. But then as it became more affordable and saturating the market, the tobacco cards would become, like this one is probably the largest size. They would become a little bit larger. The same thing happened with clay pipes. If you look at the history of clay pipes, and we've actually seen a couple in pictures in this book so far that we've looked at in previous videos, some of them will be long and skinny with a little bowl on it. The smaller the bowl, usually the older the tobacco pipe. As tobacco became commonplace, more popular throughout the many, many days, decades and years and etc., the pipes would become larger. So that's just something, that, once again, that general knowledge. And here it says Rescue of 10 by Hermes, ancient wall painting. I have no idea what this is about. Something to do with ancient Rome, obviously.